In the last lecture we had started with circulation, right? We are doing the chapter respiration and circulation. We have already completed with respiration. And what did we study in the last lecture? Can any of you remember? So I think first of all we had studied about transportation, and we had studied three types of transportation, right? Intercellular, right? Intracellular and extracellular. And can you remember the examples? Intercellular transportation. So we had studied active transportation and passive transportation, or it is also called as diffusion. Then we had studied intracellular transportation, which had an example called as cyclosis. Okay, I had also said that it is also known as cytoplasmic streaming. And then we had learned about extracellular transportation, right? Do you remember that? Parenchymal circulation we had studied in that, and also the circulation done by the roundworms with the help of muscles. So we had studied that, and the next part which we had studied was related to your types of blood vascular system. So we had studied open blood vascular system, closed blood vascular system, right? And if you remember, the open system basically has a fluid which is called as hemolymph, and hemolymph flows in the body cavity called as hemocoel. These are very, very important words, so you need to remember them. Also remember that the blood is flowing freely into the body cavity. It is flowing freely in the hemocoel. So all the organs and tissues are surrounded by blood. Blood is directly coming in contact with the cells and tissues. Correct? The other thing is the blood flows with a lot less pressure. The blood pressure is very, very less in case of open circulatory system. Okay? And the heart pumping activity is also not very strong. The respiratory pigment is absent, and everything in closed circulatory system is exactly the opposite. Okay, for example, the heart pumps with much more pressure, the blood pressure is more, the blood is not flowing freely, it is flowing inside a closed circuit. If you remember, arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, veins, and the heart. Is this correct? Then the respiratory pigment is present, hemoglobin is present. So we had studied that in the last lecture. Now today we are going to just study one concept, okay, and that is going to be the types of closed circulatory systems, okay, and we are going to study something which is called as single circulation and double circulation. So I will just write down on the board over here, types of closed circulatory system. Okay, there are basically two types of closed circulatory system. The first one is called as single circulation. Alright, and the next one, which is a more advanced form of the closed circulatory system, it is called as the double circulation. Okay, so I am going to write down over here double circulation. Is this clear? Okay, so we are basically just going to study these two parts, and what I am going to do is I am also going to explain the important parts of the heart. Okay, we are going to study the anatomy of the heart in the later lectures, but today for you to understand this, I am also going to teach you the anatomy of the heart. Okay, what are the main chambers of the heart, what are the vessels which leave the heart, which enter the heart. So I am just going to teach you, and I am also going to teach you this. Is this clear? Okay, so now before we begin with this single and double circulation, first of all let us have a look at the structure of a heart. And now I am going to teach you basically the structure of a four-chambered heart. Okay, see, there are different types of hearts. For example, in vertebrates, there are four different classes. Okay, Pisces, then amphibians, then reptiles, then mammals, then aves. Sorry, 5 classes, right? And each one of them have a different type of heart. For example, Pisces have just a 2-chambered heart. Okay, amphibians have a 3-chambered heart. Reptiles have an incompletely 4-chambered heart. Aves and mammals are the most developed, they have a completely 4-chambered heart. So if I want to show you the structure of a completely 4-chambered heart, what is the structure going to be? So I am just going to draw a very simple diagram, okay, not a fancy diagram, for you to understand. First of all, in a 4-chambered heart, the upper chambers which are present, alright, so this is your heart, and now I'm just going to draw the chambers. So these are the two upper chambers, and the upper chambers of the heart are always called as atria. Now atria is a plural word. I will write it down over here. A-T-R-I-A. This is a plural word. Please remember. The singular for that is called as atrium. Okay. Now, which side is the left side? Which side is the right side? Please remember, whenever we are studying the organ, whenever we are studying the diagram, then this side is the right side, this side is the left side, because when you look at it, for you this is the left side, this is the right side, but we are studying the organ of the person. So suppose if I am here and we are studying my heart, then for me this is the left side, this is the right side. So always remember that this part is called as the right atrium. Are you getting me? So I will just write the short form RA. Please don't make this mistake. Many people make this mistake. They write this part as left, this part as right, and they end up losing all the marks. So please remember, in any anatomical structure, this side, your left side, is actually the right side, because you are talking about the organ of that person, and this part is the left part. Is this clear? This will become left atrium. Now, actually, this atrium has got another word. It is also called as auricle. A-U-R-I-C-L-E. But this word is not used popularly. It was used earlier. So auricle and atrium is the same. You can call it left auricle, right auricle, or you can call it left atrium, right atrium. Is this clear? Okay. Next. These are the superior chambers. What do you mean by superior? Superior means something which is on top, something which is present above. Now, the lower chambers which are present, these are called as the ventricles. So I will just make a slight change over here. These are called as the ventricles. There is no alternate name to that. So this will be called as the right ventricle. This will be called as the left ventricle. The spelling, if you want, I will write it down over here. Is this clear? So I think most of you know about this. You must have studied this in school. So these are the four parts of a completely four-chambered heart. Now suppose if I say that a fish has a two-chambered heart, then which of the parts will be missing? So a fish will have only one atrium and one ventricle. That is it. It will be a two-chambered heart. Are you getting me? If I am saying that the heart is three-chambered, as in the case of amphibians, then that heart will have two atria and it will have a single ventricle. If I am saying that the heart is an incompletely four-chambered heart, that means that this wall between the two ventricles is not completely formed. So this entire thing acts like one full ventricle. But since it is forming, it is called as incompletely four-chambered. So that is in the case of reptiles. And a completely four-chambered heart, obviously it will be like this. Okay, now you will ask me why have I drawn these things. So let me rub that off. I will teach you that later on when we come to that part. So right now let us keep the diagram simple. Let us just keep the diagram like this. Is this clear? Is this clear? Now, one thing. This four-chambered heart which is present, it is dealing with two different types of blood. First type of blood is called as oxygenated blood. Let me write it down over here. Oxygenated blood. I am writing it in red color, correct? And the second type of blood is called as deoxygenated blood, which I am representing in the blue color. So there are these two types of blood present. Obviously, oxygenated blood will have oxygen attached to the hemoglobin, Deoxygenated blood will not have oxygen because that blood has already given the oxygen to the cells and tissues. We have already studied that in the respiration part. Is this clear? Now, this entire heart, which part deals with oxygenated blood and which part deals with the deoxygenated blood? Can you tell me this? You can think if you want. Just think whatever you have learned in school. Which part of the heart deals with the oxygenated blood, which part deals with the deoxygenated blood? As a rule, okay, you don't need to by heart this, or you don't need to mug this up, but the right side of the heart deals with the deoxygenated blood, whereas the left side of the heart deals with oxygenated blood. Okay, so this entire area, if you want, I can shade it in red color. So this right atrium is always filled with I am extremely sorry, I should have used the blue color because we are talking about deoxygenated blood, correct? So this right side of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood, so I am using this blue color. Similarly, the right ventricle is always filled with deoxygenated blood, and hence again the blue color. Is this clear? Now, how does the blood enter the right ventricle? So the blood first enters the right atrium. Okay, I will tell you how does it enter the right atrium. From the right atrium it enters the right ventricle. How? So there is a passage between the two ventricles, okay, and that passage is guarded by a valve. Okay, so I think you must be knowing that in the digestive system, in the alimentary canal, there are sphincters present. Okay, pyloric sphincter, cardiac sphincter. What is the function of a sphincter? Sphincter prevents the backflow or the regurgitation of food. Similarly, in the heart, the valves prevent the backflow of blood. So if I draw this valve over here, then when this deoxygenated blood is flowing from right atrium to right ventricle, these valves will be open. And when this entire blood from right atrium to right ventricle passes down, so when this right atrium is empty and this right ventricle is full, at that time what will happen is these valves will then close down. So they will be like this. Are you getting my point? So this will prevent the backflow. So blood will never go from right ventricle to right atrium. No. What is preventing the backflow? This valve. What is the name of this valve? This valve is called as the tricuspid valve. Okay. So again, many of you must be knowing this. For those who don't know, please remember this valve between the right atrium and right ventricle is called as the tricuspid valve. Why is it called as a tricuspid valve? Because if you see the cross section of the valve, then this valve actually has three cusps. Okay, that is why it is called as tricuspid valve. Let us not go into detail. The structure shows three projections, and those are called as cusps. So tricuspid. So this is the valve. When you cut the valve and you see the cross section, then this is how it looks. So it is called as a tricuspid valve. Is this clear? So the tricuspid valve prevents the backflow of blood from right ventricle to right atrium. Done. Now coming to the left side of the heart. The left side of the heart deals with oxygenated blood, right? So I will shade the area with red color. Again, for the blood to flow through the left atrium and enter the left ventricle, there has to be a valve over here, correct? So just like the tricuspid valve, between the left atrium and the left ventricle, there is a valve which is called as the bicuspid valve. Okay, so this is called as the bicuspid valve. So again, if you look at the cross section of that valve, it will show only two cusps. So it is called as the bicuspid. There is another name for bicuspid valve. It is also called as the mitral valve. M-I-T-R-A-L. Okay. And you might just think that what does mitral valve mean? Is it a name given on the basis of the person who discovered it? No. So there is this word which is called as mitre, M-I-T-R-E. Okay. So do you know of the Pope? Okay, the Pope is the head of the church, right? जो Vatican में रहते हैं. So that hat you have seen, a Pope wearing a hat, that white colored hat, that is actually called as the mitre. And when you see the cross section of the bicuspid valve, that cross section of the valve looks exactly like that hat which the Pope is wearing, and that is why this valve is also called as a mitral valve. Okay, so you can call it as mitral or bicuspid, anything you can use. So is this clear? Tricuspid valve, bicuspid valve, this side deals with deoxygenated blood, this side deals with oxygenated blood. Is this part clear? Okay, now next. First of all, let us try to understand how right atrium gets filled with blood. Okay, right atrium is the first chamber of the heart which receives deoxygenated blood. Now this deoxygenated blood which is entering the heart in the right atrium, it is basically coming from these two vessels. Okay, one vessel which is coming from below the heart and the other vessel which is coming from above the heart, and both these vessels carry deoxygenated blood. Now these vessels are called as, this one coming from the top bringing deoxygenated blood from the head, neck and the chest region is called as the superior. Superior because it is present on the upper side. Superior vena cava. So name of the blood vessel which brings deoxygenated blood to the right atrium is called as vena cava. जो ऊपर से आ रहा है उसको बोलेंगे superior vena cava. The one which is coming from below will be called as inferior vena cava. Is this clear? Okay, and both these vena cavas open into the right atrium. Is this clear? Okay, so both these vena cavas will open into the right atrium. They do not join together. I have shown that over here. No, they do not join. So if you want, you can show the vena cava passing from behind and both of them will open into the right atrium. Is this clear? Okay, so that is about the vena cavas. Now again, this vena cava which is bringing the blood downwards, will it require a valve? What do you think? Should a valve be present over here? No, a valve is not needed because the blood which is running in the superior vena cava, that is the venous blood, deoxygenated blood. Always remember, deoxygenated blood flows with very less pressure because it is the blood which is coming from all the cells of the body. Correct? So it is flowing with less pressure. So anyway, because it is going in the direction of the gravity, it will always come down. So it will not backflow. So that is why you do not require a valve over here. However, this blood which is coming from here, this venous blood or this deoxygenated blood is also called as venous blood. Venous means the blood which is flowing in veins. This is also a vein, this is also a vein because it is carrying deoxygenated blood. Okay, the name of the vein is vena cava. So this inferior vena cava, if it is bringing the venous blood in this upward direction, then it is flowing against gravity. So you require a valve. So a valve has to be there, and this valve is called as the eustachian valve. Okay, I will again teach you when we learn the anatomy of the heart. So the valve present over here is called as the eustachian valve. Okay, I am not writing it down right now. We will learn it later on. Just try to remember that. So is this clear? So both these vena cavas will bring the deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body. It will enter the right atrium. The right atrium will contract. It will force the blood. What will happen? The tricuspid valve will open and the blood from the right atrium will go into the right ventricle. Soon your right ventricle will fill up, and what will happen to the tricuspid valve? It will close. Once this valve closes, your right ventricle is fully expanded, or it is fully filled with blood. Now what will contract? This right ventricle will contract. Now the blood in the right ventricle is deoxygenated blood. So when this right ventricle contracts, now tell me, this right ventricle has deoxygenated blood. So where will the blood go when this part contracts? So first of all, this is the last part of the heart which deals with deoxygenated blood. बराबर है ना? इसके बाद और कोई part नहीं है जो deoxygenated blood लेगा heart से. So common sense says that this part will send this deoxygenated blood somewhere for oxygenation. Correct? Because if this part sends deoxygenated blood to some other part of the heart, then again that part of the heart will carry deoxygenated blood, but that is not there because this entire part is with oxygenated blood. So this part sends deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So if somebody asks you which part of the heart sends deoxygenated blood to the lungs, the answer is right ventricle. Right ventricle sends deoxygenated blood to the lungs. How will it send? So now let us take a look. So let me just rub this shading off. Okay, let us just redefine this diagram. Okay. Okay, done. Now, this right ventricle will send the deoxygenated blood to the lungs via a vessel which is called as the pulmonary trunk. Okay, so pulmonary trunk is the blood vessel which arises from the right ventricle. So what happens is this pulmonary trunk goes like this. Okay, so I will just rub this part off, rub this part off, and I will rub this part off. So the blood in the right ventricle, when this right ventricle contracts, it enters the pulmonary trunk. This part is called as the pulmonary trunk. Okay, now why the word pulmonary? Because anything which is related to the lungs is called as pulmonary. This vessel is going to the lungs, hence it is called as pulmonary trunk. And what happens is, this pulmonary trunk then divides into two branches. Okay, this one goes to the which side of the lung? This one will go to the right lung, so RL, and this one will go to the left lung. Okay, so that will be LL, and these two are now called as the pulmonary artery. So this is the right pulmonary artery, this is the left pulmonary artery. Now another thing, many of you will say that arteries carry oxygenated blood. Then how come these vessels which are carrying deoxygenated blood, they are called as arteries? So please remember, pulmonary arteries are the only arteries in your entire body which do not follow the normal rule. So pulmonary artery will always carry deoxygenated blood. Please remember this. बाकी जितने भी arteries है body में, they will carry oxygenated blood, but your pulmonary arteries, your right pulmonary artery, left pulmonary artery, both will carry deoxygenated blood. Okay, again I will tell you, then why are these called as arteries? Correct ना? If they are carrying deoxygenated blood, तो artery क्यों बोलना है उनको? veins ही बोलते हैं. So I will tell you that later on. Right now I don't want to confuse you. So is this clear? So one pulmonary trunk gives rise to two pulmonary arteries. This is the right pulmonary artery, this is the left pulmonary artery. They will enter the respective lungs. Right pulmonary artery will enter the right lung, left pulmonary artery will enter the left lung. Then you know what happens. We have already studied the pulmonary artery then branches into capillaries, pulmonary capillaries. The exchange occurs at alveoli, correct? And what will happen is, the oxygenated blood will enter. Okay, sorry, there was some glitch in the camera. So anyway, so is this part clear? Okay, so this is your sorry, this is your right pulmonary artery and this is your left pulmonary artery. Is this clear? This is your pulmonary trunk. Okay, and what will happen is the blood will go to the lungs. Again, pulmonary capillaries alveoli के साथ exchange, oxygenated blood will come from the lungs. Now, which blood vessels will bring the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart? Obviously, the oxygenated blood is going to come over here. Please remember, हार्ट के अंदर सबसे पहले ब्लड विल ऑलवेज एंटर द एट्रियम. इट इज नेवर गोइंग टू एंटर द वेंट्रिकल्स. You will never see that the blood is entering the heart through ventricles. No. Over here from the vena cava, the blood is always entering right atrium. Over here from the lungs, the blood will always enter left atrium. So the first chambers of the heart to receive blood, let it be deoxygenated or oxygenated, are always going to be atria. Now, which vessels are bringing the oxygenated blood? So the vessels which bring oxygenated blood from the lungs, they are called as, now can you guess what will be these vessels called as? They are called as pulmonary veins. So all the veins in the body, they carry oxygenated blood except which vein? Pulmonary vein. Is this clear? So pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein actually function exactly the opposite of what all arteries and veins function. Pulmonary artery will always carry deoxygenated blood, pulmonary vein will always carry oxygenated blood. Now, these pulmonary veins, so there are 4 pulmonary veins which enter the left atrium. Okay, so 2 of them open from here, from the left side, and 2 of them open from the right side. So if you want, I can show like this. And these ones will obviously pass behind the right atrium, and what is going to happen is there will be 4 openings over here, 2 openings of the left pulmonary veins and 2 openings of the right pulmonary veins. So 4 pulmonary veins, 2 from the left lung, 2 from the right lung, they all come and they enter the which part? Left atrium. And that blood is which blood? Oxygenated blood. So oxygenated blood will enter the left atrium. Clear? Then what will happen? As soon as your left atrium is full, it will contract. It will contract. Which valve will open? Bicuspid valve or mitral valve. The bicuspid valve and mitral valve will open. Blood, oxygenated blood will flow into the left ventricle. Then your left ventricle will be fully filled. What will happen to the bicuspid valve? The bicuspid or the mitral valve will close. So now blood has actually flown through 3 chambers of the heart. Blood has passed through the right atrium, blood has passed to the right ventricle, and blood has also passed through the left atrium. Now that blood is present in the left ventricle. This is the most important part of the heart, because this part is going to pump oxygenated blood to all the parts of the body. See, the heart is basically a muscle. It is a very powerful muscle. But amongst all these 4 parts, this is the most important, or this is the most strongest part of the heart. Muscular wise भी ये सबसे ज़्यादा muscular है. So which part is the most muscular among the 2 atria and ventricles? The left ventricle is the most. मतलब when you actually see a real heart, you can see that the thickness of this left ventricle muscle is much more compared to the right ventricle muscle. अब ये diagram से तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये बड़ा है ये छोटा है, but remember this, that the left ventricle is the most powerful part because it has to pump the blood to all the parts. Just imagine that same oxygenated blood from here, it will go to the brain, and same oxygenated blood from here it has to go to your toes. इतने दूर तक आपको भेजना है against the gravity or along the gravity. So most important part of the heart. Is this clear? Now where will the blood exit from the left ventricle? अभी यहाँ से exit करने के लिए pulmonary trunk है. यहाँ से exit करने के लिए the vessel which is present, that vessel. So now I am going to what should I do? Should I rub this off? Okay. Now there is a vessel which goes like this. Okay. This vessel which goes like this. Let me just rub off this thing so that doesn't become too confusing, correct? And this vessel which goes like this from the left ventricle, I have drawn it in red color because it is carrying oxygenated blood. This vessel is called as the aorta. Okay, A-O-R-T-A. Aorta is the vessel which carries the oxygenated blood. Okay, it is also called as the systemic aorta. और वो aorta क्या करेगा? Blood लेके जाएगा सब. So there are dorsal aorta, there is ventral aorta, so all the different branches of aorta. So aorta divides into arteries. Suppose aorta का एक branch kidney में जा रहा है, then it is called as the renal artery. Are you getting me? So depending on which body part that branch of aorta goes, the artery will be named. So aorta is the main artery, it is the strongest artery which is present in your body, and the blood which is flowing through this aorta is under very high pressure. Okay, highest pressure is through this is of the blood which is passing through this aorta, and whereas the blood which is passing through this pulmonary trunk, it is not having as much pressure as compared to this. So is this clear? Both the ventricles are having major blood vessels. The major blood vessel of the right ventricle is called as the pulmonary trunk, whereas the major blood vessel of the left ventricle is called as the aorta. Is this clear? Okay, so with that I have just given you an overview of the anatomy of the heart. We have not seen the internal structure. Okay, this is called as the external structure. Okay, and one more thing, the wall which is present, okay, this wall which separates the two ventricles, or this wall which separates the two atria, so these are actually called as septa. Okay, I think this word has already come once sometime before. The word is called septum. Septum means wall, and the plural for septum is septa. So this septum present between the two ventricles, this wall, it is called as interventricular septum. दो ventricles के बीच में. Similarly, the septum which is present between the two atria, it is called as the interatrial septum. Very simple. Inter means between, atrial means between the two atria, and septum means wall. Wall which is present between two atria is called as interatrial septum. If you want, I will write it down over here. Okay, interatrial septum, that is this. Similarly, this is called as the interventricular septum. Clear? Similarly, if you want to write about this wall between the right atrium and right ventricle, it can be called as the atrioventricular septum. अभी atria और ventricle के बीच में है, so it is called atrioventricular septum. But obviously that wall has an opening, walls are present. So this is one in atrioventricular septum, this is another atrioventricular septum. They open by valves. Which valves? Tricuspid and bicuspid. Is this clear? Okay. So this is about the blood system. This is about the heart. This is how the blood flows. So the flowing of blood will be, it will enter here, then it will go to the lungs. From the lungs, oxygenated blood will come over here, then it will go over here, and from here it will go to the body. Is this clear? Okay. Now what about the heart? See, pulmonary trunk carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and aorta carries oxygenated blood to all the parts of the body. But what about the heart? Heart is also an organ. Heart also requires blood for working, correct? Just like other cells of the body, heart also requires oxygenated blood for working, and it will take the oxygen. Cells of the heart will take the oxygen and they will produce the deoxygenated blood. तो वो कहाँ से आते हैं, कहाँ से जाते हैं? So the vessels which supply heart with oxygenated blood, because these pulmonary veins which are coming in, they are bringing the oxygenated blood, but that blood is for the different parts of the body. That oxygenated blood is not for this heart. So what is bringing oxygenated blood for the heart? So there are coronary arteries. Okay, so should I rub this off? So the vessel which brings oxygenated blood for the heart, okay, that vessel is called as coronary artery. Let me write it down in red. So now please remember, coronary artery will carry oxygenated blood. So this coronary artery is the vessel which carries oxygenated blood to the heart. Heart will use the oxygen. Whereas once the oxygen is used, the deoxygenated blood will go into the coronary veins. समझ रहे हो क्या? Coronary arteries, coronary veins, they are different from pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein. Please remember. So in the case of heart, don't write down that coronary artery is having deoxygenated blood. No, coronary artery means lungs से जो deoxygenated blood जा रहा है heart के use के लिए, वो किसके through जा रहा है? coronary artery के. And when the heart uses that oxygen, the deoxygenated blood will go into coronary vein. Is that clear? Okay. So coronary artery, coronary vein. So this means heart. Whenever you write that word coronary, so that is only for the heart, whereas all these other parts are for the entire body. Is this clear? Okay. So that is a general anatomical structure of the heart. Single circulation and double circulation, I think I will make another video, okay, because I don't want to make this video very long. So I hope this is clear. If this is clear, then single and double circulation will become very easy. Okay, so that's the end of this short part. I have taken up this anatomy of the heart. It is much before than what it is given in the book, okay, but I think if you know this, then the circulatory system becomes much more easier rather than studying it at the point where it is given in your textbook. Okay, so I hope this is clear. It was more or less a revision lecture. In the next lecture, we will be studying single and double circulation, and after that we will be starting with anatomy of the heart. There is a part about blood, but that blood part we will do at the end because it is a very theoretical part. You have to remember the components of blood and all that. So that we will do at the end. Okay, so in the next lecture we will be starting with single and double circulation. I hope the lecture is clear. Okay, if you have any doubts, please let me know. And guys, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Do leave a comment. Okay, and like and share. And that's it. Thank you.